What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to T3G. My name is Dalibor, and today we are doing the wrap-up for the January project coming right up. So I'm glad I finally got my intro back, I'll be honest with you. A, just like coming up with interesting, at least to me, ways to like create like cool intro things on DaVinci. It's frustrating. And B, just the render times, like the cool ones, just to put it in before I edited usually took like 2 minutes just to put in the title before I edit it, and then I have to re-render it for it to be playable. What I'm saying here is it wasn't a good time to be editing on the laptop. Even with the i7 and the Spectre, it couldn't keep up. It just couldn't keep up. Now that could be possibly due to dedicated graphics, but I'll be honest, even when I edit with DaVinci on my main computer, which has a 580, like I think it's an RX 580, it doesn't even use more than like 1% of the card. So like, I don't really know what I could do on a laptop, like what kind of laptop I would have to get like fast, like just drop in a title and not have to worry about it rendering before I could play it back. On top of that, and I don't know if this is because of this particular computer or if it's because of DaVinci Resolve 16. Man, I had a lot of crashes. Just, I'd be editing, and if I scrub at a high speed, right? I hit L in Premiere and I scrub at a high speed, and just so I can watch the, if it's a 5-minute video, I can watch the whole thing in 2.5 minutes. In DaVinci, A, it plays a little faster, so it's harder to understand, and B, it crashes. If I do that like for a longer video, like if it was like an 8-minute video, at like 6 minutes it just crashes. I don't know why. I have no concept as to why it's doing that, but I've never had that problem in Premiere. I know a lot of people talk about they have like all these crashing problems in Premiere. I have, knock on wood, had fantastic outcomes with Premiere. Now that is not to say that I will not be using DaVinci anymore. I still intend on using DaVinci Resolve for my vlog editing. I just want to make sure that I'm like in practice and using it. And I think I'm going to be using HitFilm as well, but possibly for different things. We'll see how that goes. HitFilm, I'm finding that it's missing more and more of the things that I would need for it to be like a proper tool for myself. Now on top of all that, Resolve 16 doesn't have the same amount of stuff that 17 does. And I'm using 17 beta on the computer downstairs. That's what I was editing my vlogs with. And when I went to 16 for the month, man, it's like, doesn't have as many titles. It just doesn't have as much stuff. And it's not as smooth. I don't know if that's like a quantifiable thing. It just doesn't feel like it's as smooth. Now, I thought I was helping myself by not putting a beta version on this laptop so I can kind of get like an absence of beta problems. If you don't know, beta is incomplete software, and beta may not be for you. But I still had issues, and then I was also lacking those additional things that I'd kind of come to rely on. Working off the phone, one of the biggest impacts, like one of the biggest issues, was transferring. On this, I'm gonna record this, I'm gonna drop it into my computer downstairs, and within 3 minutes at absolute most, if this ends up being like a 30 minutes of recording, within 3 minutes, it's gonna be on my computer and I'm ready to edit. I tried manual transfer. I don't know what's going on with maybe current Android, or I don't know if it's this phone, or I don't know if it's this computer. I'm gonna test it downstairs and we'll be updating on this. But transferring files from this is impossible. Manually, like to actually just like plug it in like you used to. Like I used to be able to just plug in an Android phone, get a DCIM folder, copy paste, move on with my life. But I can't. It doesn't exist anymore apparently. I mean, it's still there and I'd try it, but the first time I did it, the lost footage, the scenario of lost footage, it was like a 4 gig file, and I transferred it and it wouldn't play. And I realized like 120 megs, and then I hit Control Z to like send it back, and it disappeared. So I don't know what the hell that was about, but I know now not to cut and paste. I'm gonna copy and paste. So then I tried that the next time, copy and paste. Tried it 5 different times, still ended up with like fractionally small files. It was, I think, a 1.7 gig file that time, and I ended up, the max I could get out of it was like 800 meg. And that was just like, tried it the first time, it was 240 something. Tried it the second time, it was 800 something, and the third time it went down to like 250. It didn't make any sense. Like the behavior did not make sense. Like I've never, in 21 years of computer shenanigans, I've never seen file transfer behavior like this. So I don't know what the problem was, which meant that I had to absolutely wait for the upload from this to Google Photos and then wait for the download. Now the download's not that big a deal because I have a pretty fast internet, but upload as I'm sure most everyone knows, is fractional to your download speed. So even though I'm paying, I think I'm paying for like 300 down or 350 down, I only get like 20 up. And that's 20 up hardwired, and rarely do I get 20 up for my phone. So, oh my God. I muted everything. It's muted. It's absolutely, I don't know where the sound is coming from, and I'm scared. So I gotta wait for the upload, and I gotta wait for the download. It's just annoying. And then I forget which video it was, but one night I said, well, let's watch a movie while I wait for this thing to upload. It would just pause uploading. It would like get to a certain point and then stop, and get to a certain point and then stop. And then I had to restart it. And like effectively, it took like 4 hours to upload because it would just stop. So that is a huge drawback of filming with a phone. Secondary drawback is I keep finding kind of more and more issues I have with this front-facing camera. It's happening when I do TikToks. It's happening when I do the vlog on selfie mode. I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal, but let's see here. We flip over, try to get it to the same distance here. Same exact lighting, same exact everything, and you see this kind of haze over it. I literally just cleaned off the lens and it's better. The lens was dirty. Well, I had not apparently considered to do that sooner. Anyway, I still have issues with the camera quality because the lighting, man, even got decent bokeh. Dang it, I should have just cleaned off the lens. That's gonna go in the next update video for the LG Wing. Anyway, the other limitation, of course, being that this is only the one camera. All right, this is only one camera, this is only one device, so I can't get angles. The narrative film I did at the end of the month, I really wanted a different angle, so I ended up having to ask my wife to hold the camera over my shoulder for the kind of close-ups of the comic. And that's frustrating, because then I had to like reenact the things I had filmed from the wide angle, and that's where you get continuity issues in films. This was not that big a deal, because I was able to kind of cut it. I feel like it came out pretty decent to what it is, but I really would have wanted multiple angles. Like for sure would have wanted multiple angles. Back on the software side of things, I had a huge issue with using Krita and GIMP. I don't know if it's this, again, I don't know if it's this laptop or what exactly it is, but GIMP just doesn't like playing with it. Like it's everything is like weirdly sized, and all the items are like, all the menu items are real small, so it's hard to like even figure out what you're trying to click on. It was a really weird experience. I'm thinking it has something to do with the resolution, because it's a 4K display, but it's like scaled resolution. That's actually part of the reason I couldn't use HitFilm even to mess around with it, because the scaling is at like 225 to like make it readable. 4K on a laptop, kids, is not, it's not a real necessary thing. Like it's just not. 1080p on a smaller screen. 4K becomes useful when things are bigger. So because of that, GIMP had issues. Even in Krita, I had like weird like scaling issues. Just had problems creating thumbnails, honestly. So I ended up, in the last few videos, ended up switching over to Canva. Lots of positive things to say about the Canva, especially the free edition of it or whatever. You get a pretty solid result. You get kind of like, that's gonna sound like I'm saying it as a negative thing, but you get kind of like a cookie cutter look out of stuff, and you don't have to really think about things too heavily. The only thing I wish I had a better handle on with the free software is like proper like bokeh. I know you can. I've seen the things done in Krita. I've seen the things done in GIMP. I know it's possible to like select a subject, bokeh out the background, and like, I know it's possible. I've seen it done. Here's the difference in the experience though. In Photoshop, I can click select subject, and it will be smart enough to know to just outline me. I might need to like fix, a couple things here and there, maybe by my ear, but it will pick me and not anything else. That saves me minutes, hours, depending on what the subject is. Because I used to do that stuff manually. Back in the day, back in the DZ, as they say, I used to do that stuff manually. And I tell you what, it is a pain. So having that AI factor, it's nice. It's nice. Now I know there is Affinity Photo, and I think, is Affinity the one that has the AI stuff? I know there's a few like graphic editors that have some AI stuff that are doing good stuff. They're doing intelligent selections and stuff like that. So there may be cheaper alternatives to Photoshop, and I might even look into those. We'll see. Again, I think there is absolutely a value to being able to step out of the Adobe system. I think the main like factors are just like ease of use and speed. It's how fast can I get this done, and how easy is it to get to certain things. Like I said, I know you can do selecting a subject in GIMP. You just have to do it yourself. and that takes a while. In Photoshop, it's 2 clicks. The text features in both GIMP and Krita were like not doing what I wanted them to do, so that's why I ended up switching to Canva. And honestly, for what it is, especially the free version, solid choice. Like Canva is a solid choice. Now, on a practical level, I want to talk about I'm gonna murder something. On a practical level, I want to talk about editing on a laptop. The biggest qualm I have with it is it's like lower, right? So like if you're properly, let's see, I'm properly seated here with my arms, my laptop would be down here. That means I would have to be craning my neck down to see the laptop screen. So what I ended up doing is I ended up putting the laptop higher up and used a Bluetooth keyboard and Bluetooth mouse. I was using a mouse the whole time. I cannot edit with a trackpad. I just can't. That's just my flaw, if you will. I am unable to, I can't be productive with it. But with the mouse, I ended up, like I said, putting this higher up so that I could be properly just seated, so I could just look at the screen and not have to like crane my neck. And because I was getting back problems, I was getting neck problems the first couple weeks when I was doing it. And I was like, no, this needs to get higher up. I need to use the Bluetooth keyboard. And that like changed the game for me. I was able to edit longer without pain. I was able to just edit without thinking about comfort. But then again, because of the screen, because of the resolution, because of the scaling, I still found myself leaning in to get like a better look because just wasn't able to read stuff at certain points. So I think if you're gonna be editing on a laptop, you gotta go 1080. You gotta go 1080. There's just no way around that. If you go to 4K, Windows is automatically going to scale the display anyway. So you're not really getting a benefit out of it except for playback. Like playback and like watching stuff. And if you're getting a computer for watching stuff, yeah, absolutely. 4K is beautiful. But like if you're getting a computer to work on, I think you gotta stick with 1080. Now, obviously with a laptop, you have the portability aspect, and that's its own thing. I've found myself reaching for my power adapter more often than not, but I did end up editing on it once for like probably 2 hours without thinking about it. And I was like, I'm about to render, and I was like, oh, I should plug this in because it's almost dead. Because I wasn't thinking about it really. It was at like 35%. So it was able to take the rendering obviously, but it's one of those things that I don't want on my desktop. I don't have to worry about if it's plugged in because it's always plugged in, right? I don't have to worry about, oh, can I hit render and walk away and maybe it shuts down for power reasons. Obviously it could shut down for other reasons, but for power reasons, like I'm not concerned about power. So that is kind of a weird little side note, I guess. Having done this for a month, I can tell you a couple things. One, if you just end up using your phone for a long time, if you do have cameras and you do have other equipment, for instance, I have the microphone here. I lost my single line microphone, so I gotta find that, right? It was one of those things like moved stuff around while I was working downstairs and now I don't know where it is. So I'm gonna have to find that. I wasn't thinking if my camera was charged, right? You charge your phone every night. You're not really thinking about, is your camera charged or your battery's plugged in? So I wasn't really thinking about that. So when I grabbed this today, I was like, I hope I don't have to charge it, because then I gotta wait even longer to film this video. But thankfully I realized that I had charged 2 extra batteries, so even if this one wasn't dead, which it wasn't, I would have been able to film. And then ultimately, you don't think about things like distance, right? With the phone, you get yourself in frame and you move on with your life. With this, I do need to get that little bokeh action, right? So I moved forward towards the camera. I'm on the wide aperture here. If I wanted to zoom in, I would need to move back. You know, like these things need to be considered with the camera. Whereas with the phone, especially with like a front-facing camera, you're either in the shot or you're not. Like you put yourself in the shot and you move on with your life. Obviously, framing is going to be different, but just being able to get a shot, like a decent shot, it definitely matters, and it definitely depends on how you're set up. Whereas on the phone, you're just like, you know, set it, and then you're like, boom, let's go. I'll be very honest, I'm so mad about that. I'm so mad about that lens thing. Pretty sure I filmed the last like 2 videos without cleaning the lens off. Like, what a silly mistake. But yeah, here, you know, I would just drop it, and if I wanted to get closer, I get closer. If I wanted to go, you know, like, I've got to get like a little bit of bokeh. I gotta be like, hold on, let me switch to video here. And even then, that's like, I'm like in this frame. Like I'm most of this frame, and I'm not really getting bokeh. Whereas with this, I set my focus like, okay, just like a little haze in the background there, and it looks nice. It looks nice. So I like this look better. We talk about this, it's not about the gear. is about what you're doing, what you're producing. And I think there is absolutely something to be said for producing stuff with a cell phone. You do have to be much more intentional with every single shot you take, every single action you do with the phone. So all in all, that has been my experience. I can't say that I have a recommendation, right? I think this was more an exercise in you can do this without a camera and all this expensive stuff. You can just use your phone. You can just use your regular laptop. Great. With just your regular phone, you can get stuff done. Is it nicer when you have a light? Sure, but that's why I talked about a very budget-friendly light. Is it nicer when you have a microphone? Absolutely. Most of the phones these days have decent audio. Mine tends to skew, right? So the audio skews to one side. I would just grab the whole clip, go to the properties, and choose one of the sides, whichever side is nicer or louder. That's it. Now both sides are the one side, and you're getting stereo, like equal balance stereo. Don't let the gear or the software licenses or, oh, I only have a laptop, whatever. Don't let that stuff stop you. Even if you have just a Chromebook, there are web-based video editors. Is it like the easiest thing? Is it the like fastest thing? No, but that's where you grow patience. Somebody on TikTok said that overthinking is not a thing. I would firmly disagree with that, because you can just overthink yourself out of doing something. Oh, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Well, you know, he's already doing this. They're already doing this. Doesn't matter. Just do the thing. Because at the end of the day, you're not doing their thing, you're doing your thing. And if all you have is a cell phone to do it with, do that. That's gonna be it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.